back here in the break room. And of course, it's me, Trey. I got my brother Caleb with me back again, man. So Caleb, man, what's up? Thank you again for joining. How you been?
Hey man, I've been good. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to talk with you. Always good to talk sports. Hey, always good to be in the break room. So good to be here.
So yeah, for those who know, those who follow, obviously X account, the Break Room HOU, and of course the Break Room Podcast One on Facebook. Well, the Break Room Podcast One on Instagram and all that. So I said X, the Break Room HOU being Houston. There's so much going on in the Houston conversation. The NFL itself, so many things have been happening, but one of the biggest stories really surrounding that Houston team and the legendary defense they kind of brought forth this year. We're going to get to that, but starting off, just the NFL playoffs itself. What an interesting turn of events. What a weird look. Obviously, we didn't have our marquee teams. They weren't necessarily in the playoffs this year. You didn't have the Chiefs. You didn't have the Ravens. Big marquee quarterbacks. You got Josh Allen and the Bills. They kind of do what Josh Allen and the Bills typically do. I'm not going to trigger some people with that one, but they kind of do what they've been doing for the past few years. Kev, what do you think about just how like things just been going so far? And how do you like it? Do you like anything? Do you not like some things? What's up?
Well, let me say this. I've really enjoyed the playoffs so far. I think everything that has gone on, it's been a different year, right? Because a lot of the traditional powers haven't been what we thought they were going to be. Most, I guess, first in line is the Chiefs, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson was also out of the playoffs. The Ravens, the Eagles get bounced in the first round. I mean, so a lot of the normal characters that we're used to seeing produce and make it to the playoffs haven't been there. So it's been different, right? It's been a lot of new quarterbacks, young coaches who really been stepping up to the plate and showing their thing. But let me say this. I mean, I really enjoyed the playoff games. I mean, that wild card weekend, every game was close. I think probably
Yeah,
my favorite game of that weekend was Carolina versus the Rams.
the
I'm
Rams.
not even that big of a Carolina fan, but I found myself really rooting for Carolina and Bryce Young to do their thing. So that was a really exciting game. So I've really enjoyed the playoffs and what they brought this year.
Oh, okay. And quick question, real quick. Obviously, everybody has their home team. If you're not one of those weird people who don't like your home team, I know a few. I just had to throw that out there. But for the people who like their home team, obviously you have that team. But also, people tend to adopt other teams, right? I know I have mine. Obviously, I'm a Houston guy. I'm loyal to the soul. I've always been that way. Houston's been my team. The second team I adopted, and we said that early in a podcast. The second team I adopted, well, besides this team, I have loved Detroit for about 4 years now. Detroit was my other team. Obviously, they weren't in the playoffs, but my other team was the Bears. Okay, that
Golly,
was my
three
third team
teams.
I adopted. Yeah, that was my third team I adopted. My second team, meaning Detroit, didn't make it in. I eventually adopted the Bears because I remember me and you had did a podcast earlier. I think it was just earlier, first couple weeks in the season or first week in the
Preseason.
season, preseason. Okay, we had predicted the Bears would be a double-digit win team when people thought we were crazy for that, but obviously there they were. So yeah, that was another team I adopted. Did you have some teams that you adopted? I know the Eagles will always be your team, obviously Houston too, but did you have any other teams you've been down for?
No, I wouldn't say I adopted another team. Like I said, I would say over the course of the season, I began to root for some teams. I wouldn't go so far as to say any of them are my, adopted team. So like Carolina, I was rooting for them as the season went on, as I saw that them getting closer to the playoffs. I always kind of root for Atlanta too. I just like Penix for some reason. I like Bijan, what they got going over there in Atlanta. But those are the just few teams I was rooting for. I wouldn't say, any of them have become my adopted team.
Okay, fair enough. And with this whole look, something that was strange to me was like you said, some certain teams got bounced early,
Mhm.
right? Namely the Eagles. And I'm not trying to go too far back in time, but with them getting bounced by a beat up San Francisco team, I don't know what the turnaround's supposed to be for them because the Eagles on paper are, I still think, probably one of the top three most talented rosters in the league, you know? And so with them getting bounced so early, it was just a strange thing. Obviously, they're gonna replace some coordinators coming up in this carousel, in this coaching carousel that's gonna move around. But them getting moved early, the Panthers making it into the playoffs, the Bears winning the way they did. I turned off that Packers game, that Packers and Bears game early, and I was thinking right before I even turned it off, I was like, either the Packers are just gonna win this, or this is gonna be one of the most historic comebacks of all time. And obviously I just went with like, it's not gonna be like that.
Mhm.
But then the latter happened. They turned up, they did what they did, and then they won. And it was just, and then like, obviously we had the whole thing with Ben Johnson, the handshake with Matt LaFleur, and all that
Right.
going on. It's just been a fun playoffs. I was hoping the Bills lost to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, but that didn't happen. But then they getting bounced by the Broncos.
Mhm.
But at what cost with Bo Nix's ankle? And the Patriots having probably the most cupcake playoff run in recent memory. Jeez, almost unfairly so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. I mean, there's a lot. So let's just start with the Texans, right?
Mm,
That's both of our hometown teams. Let's start there. In the middle of that game, I said that CJ Stroud needed to be benched. I said it to our family group chat.
yeah.
I stick by what I said too. I thought that CJ Stroud should have been benched. Let me tell you why. Not only had he thrown four interceptions in by halftime, but he looked rattled. The man
Hmm.
looked like he had seen a ghost. He looked like somebody had stole his lunch. Somebody had, broke his dog's leg. It just didn't look good for CJ. And I was like, man, I told you, we were on the phone right before the game. During the game, I said, this is the biggest game in Texans history, right? Because up until that point, the Bills had gotten eliminated, right? And
Hmm.
we knew that Bo Nix had gone down for the Broncos. So the winner of Texans Patriots was going to the Super Bowl. That's the way that I saw it. The winner of Texas
Basically,
Patriots
yeah.
was going to the Super Bowl. And then when you get to the Super Bowl, it's a coin flip, right? So think about it. The Houston Texans have been around since 2002. In that history, they have never won a divisional playoff game. That was the opportunity. So CJ, you're throwing four interceptions. You look rattled. I needed somebody to come in and change the mojo. I'm not saying that Davis Mills is a great quarterback. He's a backup for a reason. But at that point, I just needed somebody to come give us some juice. Because I'm gonna say this and I'm done. For if you watch that game, all you needed CJ Stroud to do was not be horrible, and he was horrible. All you needed to win the game was CJ Stroud not be horrible. Because let me tell you why. If CJ Stroud, let's say he doesn't throw the pick six, he puts it in the dirt, which is what he should have done, right? Because I mean, look, I get it. I get it. Football is a team sport. His lineman gets blown up. His tight end, who's supposed to be coming across, he falls down for his check down route. But CJ, why are you trying to make something out of nothing and throw the ball downfield? You got a D lineman in your first. Dirt the ball, and that's 7 points off the board. At that point, they won by like what, 10? At that point,
Hmm.
it's a 3-point game. Your defense has been causing Drake May to fumble the ball. They've been holding off the Patriots. Think about it. In the first half, they got four extra possessions, well, three rather, because one was a pick six. Three extra possessions off of CJ Stroud's turnovers. And the defense gave up less than 30 points. Let me make sure I'm right.
Ended
Yeah,
up losing by 12.
but the defense gave up less than 30 points after in the first half, the Patriots have three extra possessions. So the defense, everybody's saying, y'all, man, the Texans defense, they a little bit overrated. I'm sorry. If you ask any defensive unit in the world to stay on the field for that long and have another offense which is playoff caliber in the Patriots to have that many cracks at the apple, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be hard to just keep them scoreless, right? So
Yeah.
I say all of that to say CJ Stroud needed to be benched, right? This to me is one of the bigger letdowns in Houston sports history, in my opinion. I haven't felt this bad about a Houston loss since 2018 when Chris Paul
I knew
got
you was gonna
injured,
go there.
game 5, and then we lose game 6 and 7 against the Warriors. I haven't
Yeah. I thought you was
this
gonna
is this is
I thought you
it's
was gonna
been it's
take it
been
to
hard.
Yeah, I thought you was gonna take it to that loss against the Chiefs when we took a tailspin and the franchise was flushed down the toilet for like a year or two.
That was
Uh,
bad.
and that was just that was almost like our Thanos blip in history. And then we thought we were back, and just we kind of just exactly who we always been. And I think that's the saddest part about it. Like we thought we were something else. We thought we transformed into something else, but we didn't. We didn't.
You know,
Has a history of having a great Houston has a history of obtaining a good defense at some point. You know what I mean? Defense usually can become our focal point. It can. We've had a long history of great edge rushers, great defenses, decent secondary. This has just been the epitome or the climax of all those times we've been like on somewhere on the not necessarily mountaintop, but we've been in the conversation of top 10 defenses, right? In our history. This we were just the pinnacle. This is the best we've ever been. And like you said, all we needed CJ to be was just not terrible. That game, and I remember when you said it that CJ needed to be benched, and I fought you on it a little bit. I was in my head, I was like, I thought about it like this: if D'Amico Ryans had, let's say, I want to say CJ had already thrown a pick or two within the first quarter, and let's say if D'Amico had brought in Davis Mills for like the last 8 minutes of the second quarter, and then started CJ for the third quarter, and then if he wasn't ready, then just play Davis Mills for the rest of the game. I want to say that probably could have been a better option, but there was just no way to predict CJ was gonna be that. You see what I'm saying? The O-line was terrible. I saw our center get choke slammed, and I saw our tackle get power bombed. Titus Howard went down. He ended up coming back in the game, but inconsistent play. He injured himself. Dalton Schultz, our safety net, our second best receiver, basically, went down. Nico Collins already wasn't in the game. Our running back had a shoulder injury during the game, and it was just falling apart. And then to capitalize on all that, horrible quarterback play.
and we were
It
still in
feels
the
like
game somehow.
and we were still in the game somehow, but it felt like a sick joke because even watching it, it was just like Drake May, even though people were chanting MVP, he hadn't had a stellar playoff run. He hasn't been great. He's been kind of pedestrian. Playing, and not to go all the way into the Patriots because we're not here to talk about them right now. But even against the Chargers, sacked 5 times, fumbled twice, threw an interception against us. But then all that got overshadowed just because they won and the Patriots defense was just great. They ended up sacking Herbert 6 times. All that. Drake May hasn't had a great playoff run either, but we're not talking about that just because the defense is kind of winning covered some of that, and the defense covers a lot of those faults too. So when people are coming out and saying like CJ might not be XYZ, right? Like, what is he comparable to? What quarterback is he comparable to? What would you say?
So I'm not sure if I have a CJ comp for you, but I can address the talks about his future because a lot of people are asking. I was asked today. It was like, do you think that CJ is the future? Let me tell you, there is no worse feeling than thinking you have the guy and finding out you don't. I haven't fully given up on CJ, but however, CJ, you need to have the year of your life next year because, buddy, these 2 playoff games you had, I've been on your side. When people were saying that CJ had a sophomore slump last year, I was one of those people who was like, man, y'all kind of overrating how quote unquote bad he was, right? If you go look back at some of the numbers, he had a pretty decent season in his sophomore year. This year, I mean, he was out with injury a lot of the times. I mean, and then he really was just relying on the defense. But CJ, now this is on you, right? These 2 playoff games you had, I want to say, I think he fumbled the ball 5 times. Not all of those were recovered. And you threw 4 interceptions in one game. That's 9 turnover worthy plays in 2 games. Not only in just 2 meaningless games, 2 playoff games. CJ, if you want to get extended, I'm sorry, buddy. You're gonna need to play the season of your life. That's where I'm at on CJ Stroud and his future. I haven't given up. He needs to be the starter come next year. He's earned that. But you haven't earned an extension. Nah, buddy, you're gonna play that 5th year option, and that's when we'll make our decision on you. Because
So
Go ahead.
I was about to say, so tell me this. Do you think that this is more of a because Davis Mills obviously did not get in the game during that playoff game. Do you think that this is more of a CJ error or a coaching error?
What do you mean?
So what I mean is, like I say, Davis Mills did not get subbed into the game, right?
Mhm.
Even though the head coach, D'Amico Ryan, saw all of this happen, just like we did on the field, but he did not sub him. I was talking with somebody and we were talking about like obviously D'Amico is a player's coach, former player for the Texans, all that, et cetera. So we know all that. And I remember at halftime, D'Amico, he got interviewed and he said, we just want CJ to know that he's not in this game alone. He knew he had a
Mhm.
horrible first half. He said, I know we just want CJ to know that he's not alone. He's got his team is behind him and we're behind him. We're going to support him through everything, right? Boom. Great. Love it. I love the morale boost, right? You want to let CJ know, like, hey, just play to win. You're not playing for your career. You're not playing for your starting position. Just play to win, right? Cool. That's all fine and dandy to say. At the same time, a case could be made to say that because you wanted to be a player's coach, it overshadowed coaching decision.
Mhm.
CJ can start next game if you win, but
Mhm.
if you lose, the season is over.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
So
I think
the
that's
question
a
I'm
go
asking,
ahead.
no, so the question I'm asking is this more just on CJ and his play, or is this some coaching error there?
No, yeah, I think that's a fair question to ask. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad at anyone who said, D'Amico Ryans, you need to come to the front and explain your decision, right? I mean, because like you said, CJ, and like we've already said throughout this podcast, CJ looked bad in that first half. I mean, just looked absolutely rattled, looked scared out there. So D'Amico, you're a former defensive player and you know how defensive players think. You will be able to see if your quarterback is rattled, right? I'm not in the locker room, so maybe it just looked worse on television, but in person, he had the confidence about him. But on television, it didn't look good for CJ, right? So I
Mhm.
understand where people are coming from. I mean, I may have some of those same questions if I was, in that press room asking D'Amico, hey, what was the decision process, coming back out of halftime? But at the same time, that first half, that is 1000% on CJ Stroud. Because again, CJ just didn't need to be horrible. And he was horrible.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm the reason why I really wanted CJ to be benched, it wasn't because, the team around him was just doing, I'm talking about the offense. The offense around him was just doing so great and he was just letting them down, right? Because the run game couldn't get going. The offensive line wasn't playing so well. Christian Kirk
Yeah, he
had
had a
got
lot of things
out.
stacked against him.
Christian Kirk went out early in the game. So I get it. Right? It's not like I'm just saying, CJ, you were the only one underperforming. No, it was a team effort. However, some of those decisions he was making, it's like, dude, we just need you to be a game manager in this moment, right? I understand that the line is not playing well, but our defense is holding up enough to where you can eat a sack. You can eat a sack instead of just chunking the ball, right? You throw that first interception, I think he's like trying to avoid a sack, and then
No,
he
abysmal.
tries to throw that
Yeah.
corner route, throws it, and it's an interception, right? So I just needed him just to not be horrible. So CJ, you have to completely wear that.
Understood. And like you
And
said,
and and,
for the next season, oh,
and
go
real
ahead,
real
finish your
quick,
thought.
real quick on the Patriots, because look, I got a buddy who works with me. He's a Patriots fan, and let me just say this about Drake May, and it's really kind of getting on my nerves. Everything that I'm hearing about Drake May. And I like Drake May. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he, has a nice future. But we're talking about Drake May like he's just the next guy. I'm sorry. I've seen 2 years in a row now of the quote unquote next guy not perform well in their second season as a starter, right? We saw it with CJ, second year as a starter, didn't look too hot. We saw it with Jaden Daniels, albeit he got injured. Second year as a starter didn't, wasn't too great. Drake May, the clock is ticking, buddy. We're gonna see if you as good as people think you are. That's my only thing about Drake May.
Yeah. Um, like I said, Drake May hasn't even had a great playoff run so far. Like it's been cool and they've won, but he hasn't blown the doors off the building. He hadn't blew the roof off. Like, let's slow down. Beating the Houston team is an accomplishment on paper because we know the defense is stellar. But when the quarterbacks are giving you the game, like, let's leave some context here. Like, that's what I don't like about talking with certain people about certain games. Like, let's keep it all within context. It almost CJ was giving the game away. Justin Herbert was also giving the game away. Justin Herbert took no deep balls. Hold on, don't let me go too far. I don't want to get so far off track. I'm with you on that. Drake, man, your clock is ticking for the next season. Back to what we were saying about CJ. And the last thing, like I said, the last thing I kind of wanted to get to you about with this thing about CJ and his upcoming season, he's going to have to play like his career depends on it. But also, what I think will become a conversation very soon, if not by the next season, Houston has no problem getting rid of coaches, even as much as D'Amico is loved here. He's done a lot for this organization. He's a former player of the organization. People love D'Amico. I haven't met too many people who don't. But I don't want to go too far on a limb. But I think with doing that, with leaving CJ in, I think it's great that you support your team and your players, even though you might have blurred the line a little bit as far as making a decision. You might have also tied yourself to CJ and his success. Because let's say, hypothetically, CJ has a horrible year next year. We hope he doesn't, of course. We wish him the best. Obviously, because we're fans. Wish and hope he has a great season. But let's say he leaves him in and he has a horrible season and D'Amico sticks with him. Are we just getting rid of CJ? Is that it? Or are we also getting rid of the man who chose him and left him in knowing he wasn't doing well?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest. I couldn't disagree more with that, and I'm not sure where you are on that. But for anybody who's thinking getting rid of D'Amico Ryans is an option, I completely disagree. Let me tell you why. Because D'Amico Ryans has completely changed the culture with the Houston Texans. Right? You and I have been fans for a very
Agreed.
long time. It's been a long time since I've seen the city embrace the Houston Texans in the way that they currently have, right? It's been since JJ Watt left the team, since I can remember, the city just really wrapping their arms around the team.
Well, go ahead. I don't want to cut you.
And here's the thing. D'Amico Ryans is a defensive coach. As long as his side of the ball is doing great, he has some leeway, right? He would have to have a horrible season. The Texans would have to the bottom would have to fall out for me to begin to consider that, right? We would have to begin losing games that we don't, lose. We would have to begin underperforming. We would have to begin making miscommunications and, just things going all the way left for me to begin to look at D'Amico Ryans a certain way. To me, D'Amico Ryans has earned himself that latitude with this organization.
Okay. So I'll ask you this as a caveat. In that same sense, do you think Sean McDermott should have been around as long as he was with the Bills?
Yes.
You think he earned that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
fair enough then. I wasn't sure where you, because I didn't think Sean McDermott was all that. Granted, his defense was always cool, but I didn't know where I fell with the Chiefs wall.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you put it on Barkley for losing to Jordan? You know what I mean? I don't.
Right.
It's a tough one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I feel on like, well, the Chiefs are just that great. It's Patrick. What are you gonna do? But also at the same time, it's not like Josh is untalented. It's not like the Bills don't have a squad.
Right.
It can be a toss up at times. Go ahead.
So yeah, I think it's an interesting convo, right? Because when I think of Sean McDermott, let's lump in John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin because I think they kind of run in the same air. And here's what I mean: coaches who are good, very good even, but were not good enough to get over the hump, right? I think Sean McDermott has been there since 2017. Harbaugh has been there 18 seasons. Tomlin been there over 20 seasons. Each of those people were tenured, right? And we saw, okay, you're successful, you do well, but you're not taking us to where as far as we think we should be, right? So that's different than D'Amico Ryans right now. D'Amico Ryans is only in his third season as a head coach, right? Now, if we get to the point where, okay, D'Amico, we can never get past the divisional round. Okay, now that's a conversation we can have, right? But as
Mhm.
of now, it's still kind of he's still kind of short in his sample size. Sean McDermott, on the other hand, we've seen. Okay, look, we've seen you lose to Mahomes. Okay, we get it. Mahomes is great. The Chiefs are great, but we've also seen you lose to Joe Burrow. We've also now seen you lose to Bo Nix. Maybe we need to go in a different direction. Same thing with John Harbaugh, right? You got Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP as your quarterback, but we haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. Maybe there's a change that needs to happen. Mike Tomlin, you're great. You always have a winning record. You get us above 500, but you haven't won a playoff game since 20. Maybe it's best if we, part ways, right? So
Yeah.
that's their conversation. Those are tenured head coaches. It seems like the time has kind of run out on where they are. D'Amico Ryans has a longer leash with me.
Okay, and fair. But also, I think I need to add this to it because I think this is too important to forget. Those franchises have the benefit of having a history, right? The Houston Texans have a very young history and, obviously no championships. The Houston Texans have a history of firing Cully 1 year, Lovie Smith another one. Now, granted, if you want to say that those coaches were just plug-ins and their head coaching hiring meant nothing, now if you say that, cool. I don't even I'm not even going to argue with it because I kind of partially agree. But at the same time, they went through the full process of a hiring. Interviewed, got hired, got the title, played a full, or almost one of them almost played a full season. But at the same time, they were cut because people were not happy. I just wanted to throw that out there because the Houston Texans coaching, hiring, and firing history are different because they don't have the benefit of having a successful past or history or benefit of just going to the point of having a 10-year coach will be a new endeavor for the Houston organization.
Yeah, to your point, I'll say this. If the Houston Texans want to be a serious franchise, they will begin to allow coaches to have the latitude to do their job. I mean, let's be honest. You and I both were
Fair enough.
we've been Texans fans for a long time. The Texans have not been a well-run franchise for the bulk of our lives.
This is true.
I mean, so that's why they've been firing coaches so quickly. They've been a poorly run franchise, right? So if the Houston Texans want to enter into the echelon of franchises we can trust with good management, good ownership, things like that, then you won't get rid of D'Amico Ryans just because he passed gas.
Yeah. Well, even with this, and I know I'm playing devil's advocate this entire time, but I'm just really curious. I want to pick your brain and kind of just throw this out there to the people and see what they think. If D'Amico Ryans has a Bill O'Brien run, is that a win? Are we looking at him like now? Granted, I think most Houston supporters and just onlookers, you don't even have to support Houston, will look back at Bill O'Brien's tenure here and say they hated him as the GM, maybe not necessarily the coach. But some would even say the coach too, because some of the players had issues with him. That's a lot of nuance, a lot of back behind the scenes stuff. We're not gonna go too deep into the Houston lore. But if D'Amico Ryans has a Bill O'Brien run, many divisional wins, a lot of playoff runs, no chips.
If D'Amico Ryans went 9-7 3 years in a row, got rid of many of our players, and I believe sabotaged our franchise, then yes, he needs to go.
Okay. Fair. Fair. But I did like your point of Houston, if you're gonna be a serious organization, adopt with some of these other teams that we were talking about, like you said, the Bills, like we talked about the Steelers. You mentioned another the same name kind of escapes me. With the Ravens, of course, with Harbaugh. Now moving to the Giants. It's just gonna get interesting. It's just gonna get interesting how things are moving, how things are changing, and how skepticism around a lot of quarterbacks is shifting and not shifting for some other ones. I know we've always kind of had a thing for Herbert. Now I can't say for Herbert, maybe against Herbert. Also, I know you had one with Josh Allen. If you kind of want to get into that.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I feel like by now the rest of the world has caught on to the love fest that Josh Allen has been the benefactor of, and they are also tired of it. So I'm not going, drag it out. All I'm gonna say is this: if I remember when Lamar Jackson turned the ball over twice against the Buffalo Bills, but then had a pretty, really good comeback, but still lost to the Buffalo Bills in the playoff game. And then I also remember Lamar Jackson, he turned the ball over once, I believe, against the Chiefs first game of the year, right? Isaiah Likely, he almost throws the game-winning touchdown, but Isaiah Likely foot is out. And I remember the national conversation was, man, Lamar, he was close, but no cigar. I mean, can he get it done? Can he win the big game? He gets kind of Josh Allen. I'm sorry, buddy. We talk about how good you lost. We talk about how good you played in a game that you lost against the Chiefs. I'm sorry, bro. If you're supposed to be in some people's eyes, the second best player in the league, in some people's eyes, he's the best player in the league. If you're supposed to be that guy, I'm sorry, you better win. We want to act like Josh Allen has no support. That narrative was killing me. Trey, do you know that the Bills had the league leading rusher? That they had one of the best graded offensive lines? That they had a really good tight end room? That they had one of the better pass defenses in the league? But oh man, they linebackers can't fit the run, so they better be worried about R.J. Harvey. They better be worried about R.J. Harvey and Travis Etienne. They gonna dice them up. Man, stop that. If Josh Allen was that guy, you know what he would do? He would take Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Juju Smith-Schuster to the Super Bowl and win against a better team in the Philadelphia Eagles. If you didn't get it, that's what Patrick Mahomes did. Patrick, he's not on that level. And I'm not sure that anybody else is on Patrick Mahomes' level, but a lot of people pretend that he is. So I just hope that conversation has died down
and bring them back to earth. I mean, so I think what we're all saying is the gist of it. Patrick Mahomes is still separated from the bunch. There is no Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. No,
yes,
like Patrick has done things separately that isolates him from everybody else. Like and that's okay. That's okay to say. It's okay to say Patrick is better than everybody else. Like he's earned it. He's done it. And it's cool.
Yes.
It's cool. So yeah, no, I'm right there with you on that. I was kind of exhausted with the Josh. I was so exhausted with it that I didn't even participate in it anymore because I'm like, I don't have anything. If you don't have anything nice to say, why say anything at all? Right. I was like, I didn't want to run him down into the ground, so I was like, okay, I'm just not going to participate. I get it. I don't want to get too disrespectful. He's the most talented loser we know. Like, you know what I mean? Awesome, wonderful. But man, first one, man, thank you for coming on, man. This has been the Breakroom Podcast. It's been episode 84. Ochenta y cuatro for Spanish, man. I always give it to you in both languages for the people out there. Obviously, Caleb from In the Cut Podcast, man. Thank you for coming on as always. Do you have any kind of parting words?
Seahawks to the Super Bowl.
Sheesh.
I mean, who else? Because
hey,
I'm supposed to bet on Jared Stidham. I don't think the Patriots are beating the Seahawks when they make it to the because I think they're gonna beat the Broncos. And I'm sorry, I'm biased. I'm rooting against the Rams. So therefore,
any particular reason? I'm just curious. Any particular reason?
Yeah, I think
against
this is just pure bias. I'm gonna be honest. There's not much logic in what I'm about to say, but Jalen Hurts is probably my favorite player in the league right now. And people consistently say that, Matt Stafford is like, just head and shoulders above Jalen Hurts, which that's a completely fair thing to say. Let me say that right now.
Okay.
I think he throws the ball much better than Jalen Hurts. But however, I just dislike the commentary. So it's pure bias on my end. So yeah, I'm rooting against the Rams. Therefore, Seattle is the only team that I want to win.
Okay, fair enough. Just for the sake of conversation, let's go ahead and just finish out our Super Bowl pick. I don't really have a dog in this fight anymore. I think it'd be funny, and I think it'd just be fun if the Seahawks won. I didn't necessarily really care about them initially. I really didn't. I don't really have any kind of tie to any player on any team that's left. Like I said, I wanted Houston to be there, obviously. I wanted the Bears to be there because I found out I always knew Caleb was talented, but the way they won, the way they come back, it was annoying at first, but then it just became fun, So I wanted the Bears to be there, but they just didn't make it. Cool. You know what? I'll take the Seahawks just because I want Sam Darnold to win. Just because it'll be funny. Just because it'll be funny. Started off, had a great season, and the first half of the season kind of tailed off towards the back end of the season. just because it'll be fun and it'll make some people mad. There, that's about the reason I want the Seahawks to win.
Yeah, I mean, they can do it. I think if I'm talking logically, I mean, again, I think the Seahawks, they probably have to be up there with the Rams. Honestly, logically speaking, I think the winner of the NFC Championship game wins the Super Bowl. Like I say, I think the Patriots, I think they're a little bit fraudulent. And I'm not just saying that because they beat my Texans, but I just haven't been impressed with any of their wins. I just haven't. I think the Rams are a bit, they're a bit for the taking right now. But if they always play Seattle tough, they split the season series this year. So if they can get past Seattle, I think the Rams could easily beat whoever comes out of the AFC. So I think the NFC Championship wins it, and I'm betting on the Seahawks to win again against the Rams.
Fair. For me, as far as my reason, I told you who I want to win, who I think will win. The matchup is kind of weird. To me, this is about fits. I think the Patriots can beat the Seahawks, but I think the Rams will beat the Patriots, and that's just almost purely for a matchup thing. I think the O line and defensive front for the Patriots is so solid, and I think Sean McVay can scheme a lot better for the Patriots than the Seahawks can outplay the Patriots. I think the Patriots execute well. I think the Rams execute better. I think the Seahawks are a lot more open to flaw and error than the Rams. But I think the Seahawks can beat the Rams. I know that was a lot all at once, but it's purely for fits. If the Seahawks make it and the Patriots make it, I think the Patriots can beat the Seahawks. Will beat the Seahawks. If the Seahawks, but if the Rams make it, I think the Rams will beat the Patriots. There. But like I said, for my pick, if I was just to pick it out, I want the Seahawks to win. Yeah, that's mine. But hey, that's been all for this episode 84 of Ochenta y Cuatro. Like I said earlier, again, thank you for the parting words. That's been our Super Bowl pick, and that's been our episode. And thank y'all again for watching, man. We'll catch y'all later. Y'all take it easy.
Peace.